All right, we are back this morning. While no group is taking credit for the attack so far in London, ISIS urges followers to use Ramadan to launch an all-out war against the West.
Here to weigh in is former radical jihadist turned counterterrorism expert Mubin Shaikh. Thank you very much for joining us. Your take, sir, on what you see there, the scope of the problem at hand.
Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to the London police for shooting 3 attackers dead within the first 8 minutes of the emergency call. And secondly, of course, as the Prime Minister, the spokesperson for the UK government, Ms. May, said, look, they are dealing with a big problem. I mean, there are more than enough. I think your former guest said there are plenty of fifth-column Islamist supremacists who are working every day to confound counterterrorism efforts. It is a war for all intents and purposes.
We've had you on the program once before mention that fifth column idea. What is that? Explain that for our audience a little bit.
It means you're talking about a group of Muslim supremacists who have no loyalty to the UK, have loyalty or sympathy or outright support for those that are against the UK, believe in ideologies of separationism, of British society is non-Muslim. We can never have any kind of loyalty to it. We can rob them, steal from them, welfare fraud, you name it. So this is your fifth column.
And a lot of them are already living in places like Europe and here in the U.S. It's not about them flying here from the Middle East. As Mark Stein just said, we're talking about second generation that feel like they don't have the sense of identity, and that's where they find it, by becoming a terrorist. How do we impact them? How do we figure out that part of the problem? How do we make sure these people don't turn into that?
Well, we need to stay away from the narratives that they feed off of. So, for example, one of the things ISIS wants is for people to make this a war on Islam. And we should not do their work for them. That's just one side of it. But there's an ideology that underpins all of this that needs to be directly engaged and confronted. You cannot have Muslims living in these countries that give Muslims so many rights and then effectively, work against that same government. That's not acceptable.
Well, as a former jihadist, I mean, the question that's top of my mind this morning with Theresa May was the first point that she made. We need to change the hearts and minds and push Western ideology on them so that they don't turn to this. As a former jihadist yourself, what changed your heart, and how can we change the hearts of them?
Yeah, I mean, for me, look, it was in the mid-90s. I had met the Taliban, and then 98, Osama bin Laden, and then, of course, 9/11 was the real, push for me to reconsider my commitment. I then went and studied the religion properly and realized that, listen, terrorism is a crime in Islam. We should never equate terrorists and Islam because we're validating their worldview, and that's the last thing we need to do. We need to oppose them, counter them, delegitimize them every step of the way.
And educate them.
Mubin Shaikh, good to have you with us
Thank you very
this morning.
Thank you.